Welcome to Free Media. I'm Robby Soave.
And I'm Amber Duke. President Trump met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska over the weekend as part of a strategy to finally secure peace in Ukraine. While the meeting was an important first step in terms of eventually getting Putin and Zelensky in the same room, mainstream media commentators criticized the Trump administration for treating Putin with basic respect during the visit. Here was Secretary of State Marco Rubio fielding a question from Martha Raddatz about this.
Critics of President Trump will say the pomp and circumstance, the red carpet, the warm handshake, that President Trump simply lost that Putin gained there just by being on the world stage and walking down a red carpet with the president. Your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, critics of President Trump are always going to find something to criticize. You don't even pay attention to it anymore. But I will tell you this, Putin is already on the world stage. He's already on the world stage. The guy's conducting a full-scale war in Ukraine. He's already on the world stage. He has the world's largest tactical nuclear arsenal in the world and the second largest strategic nuclear arsenal in the world. He's already on the world stage. When I hear people say that, oh, it elevates him, well, all we do is talk about Putin all the time. All the media's done is talk about Putin all the time for the last 4 or 5 years. That doesn't mean he's right about the war. That doesn't mean he's justified about the war. Put all that aside. It means you're not going to have a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. You're not going to end a war between Russia and Ukraine without dealing with Putin. That's just common sense. I shouldn't even have to say it. So people can say whatever they want. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to get the Russian side to agree to things that they don't want to agree to if we're going to have peace. If not, there'll just be a war. They'll keep killing each other. And life will go on in America and in the rest of the world, but not for Ukraine. So the president has invested a lot of time in trying to bring an end to this war. He deserves credit for doing that. He gets criticism for doing that. He could have just let this war go on.
And on Truth Social, Trump wrote that the ball is now in Zelensky's court and pressed the Ukrainian president to agree to a peace deal with Putin. We'll discuss Trump's meeting with Zelensky and other European leaders a bit later. I thought Marco Rubio kind of hit that one out of the park, really. And the idea that, if you shake his hand or not shake his hand, or like the optics of the meeting, I mean, come on, this is unserious, fundamentally unserious. From people who think any compromise with Putin is some, unconscionable selling out to authoritarianism. It's like, well, if that's your perspective, they're just going to stay at war. Like Rubio says at the end of the clip, well, then they'll stay at war and Ukraine will lose. And if that's your plan, I think we should try some other plan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the reality is, too, when you're dealing with people like Putin, who apparently are really interested in appearing strong and capable on the world stage, as Martha Raddatz says, then you got to be a little nice to the guy if you want to get something out of him. The reality is both Ukraine and Russia are going to have aspects of a peace deal that they're not thrilled about. And I think putting out a little carpet on the ground for Putin, if it gets him to play a little bit nicer in negotiations, is a reasonable thing to do. I'm kind of unclear on what exactly their preferred outcome is.
Yeah, and I would feel the same way about anyone else, about Xi Jinping. When there was a media kerfuffle around Biden calling him, I think he called him a dictator or something, not to his face, but like right after meeting with him. And yeah, I agree, Xi Jinping is an horrible authoritarian dictator, one of the most threatening people on earth, part of an evil regime. But, we got to be a little savvy in our diplomacy. You don't need to say that, even if it's true. And so it seems just self-evident that we don't need to insult him or go out of our way. We're trying to accomplish something that's difficult to accomplish because Ukraine is in a terrible position, not holding the cards, as someone said at that last meeting. I think this is an important first step to achieving something that is difficult. And ultimately, if Russia is going to say no to any security agreement for Ukraine, well, then it's just going to continue. Then there's no reason to make a deal. And that would be very regrettable, and it's hard to get out of that, but that's what they're trying, and let them try. What's the alternative? The alternative, the mainstream media, liberal, Biden, defend Ukraine to the last man strike, has been tried, and that's just going to result in tons of people dying and Ukraine losing anyway.
Right. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the resources, and Ukraine has consistently been asking for a ceasefire. Well, a ceasefire isn't in Russia's interest because they are winning the war right now. Like, yes, it's incremental and it's slow, but they have shown no signs of being interested in giving up while they're ahead or while they're making even a little iota of progress. So the only logical next step is to pursue a full peace agreement. And anyone in the mainstream media who is criticizing the Trump administration for trying to do that, they just want us to send billions of more dollars in weaponry so that Ukraine can hang on for another year. But the outcome is still the same at the end. Ukraine loses.
Frankly, if the outcome is just going to be the same anyway, then we should stop sending money.
Exactly.
The point of the money is to prevent the conquest of Ukraine. If you're admitting it's hopeless, but we should do it anyway, that just makes no, then you just have a sort of moral commitment to the U.S. being responsible for contributing to this conflict, but despite us not being able to affect the outcome. At that point, I just say, well, then hands off. I mean, unless we're willing to do something stronger, but no, I'm not, and even no one on the other side wants to send ground troops into Ukraine to help them fight a war against Russia. If that's what it would really take, but no one wants to do that, I don't think we should declare war on Russia. I don't think we should have World War III over the issue of Ukraine. Then hard choices got to be made. And it seems like Trump's doing his best. I don't think more like reimposing sanctions is not going to do
They
enough
don't work,
good.
especially when you have Europe paying more to Russia for energy than they have given to Ukraine in security assistance.
And Trump has done a lot to bring Europe more in, paying for more of their own NATO defense, not relying just on the U.S. for it. The European leaders seem to be largely on board at this point. They want the same kind of peace agreement. I understand why they're wary of Putin. I'm not saying like I naively just believe he's going to run down the war and not take the rest of Ukraine. I think, absent some agreement to protect the rest of Ukraine, then yeah, Ukraine shouldn't lay down the weapons unless they're going to have a little bit more of a commitment that this isn't going to just be Russia resupplies and invades again. So I'm not trying to be naive about trusting Putin, but it's just what is the alternative? They don't have a plan. Yeah. Well, we'll be still talking about this in a minute. Obviously, Zelensky was at the White House with European leaders. Stay tuned for more Free Media.